Check out this glitch. It's kind of crazy. It's when you do the rocket radar and then like go away from it. I guess sometimes it'll have a chance to make the map look like that. But anyway, this video right here is basically going to be for those people who still have Sierra, Cliff, Arlo. You know, they're about to change their lineups, of course, with the Team Go Rocket takeover that's going to be happening later this month if you're watching this in real time. I'm recording this on November 8th. I think it'll be uploading like very soon, either after that or on the day. Anyway, we got Sierra, of course, first up, and so she sends out the Squirtle first. So this is going to be one of those things where we're preparing for Blastoise next, mainly, but this will also help us with Squirtle. So some people, I think the first question is, they ask, like, how do you know what lineup is coming up next, or even what movesets, because that's important too. And again, this is just for people who are struggling. Like, a lot of you guys can beat the leaders as they currently stand, at least, with Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur as the starting Pokemon. Again, you guys can kind of like outmuscle those with your 3000 CP plus Pokemon, your legendaries and all that stuff. Like, so this is, again, just for the maybe people who are new to Team Go Rocket, or if you've somehow been struggling with one of the leaders. So anyway, again, how do we determine which Pokemon they're gonna have before we go in? Well, it's not really before we go in. You do have to run sort of like just a trial test run. You know, these are videos, of course, that can help give you some ideas, but I always try to think of it mainly from the perspective of somebody who's dealing with a little bit lower level Pokemon at their disposal. And the interesting thing is that I always do stay below that 1500 CP mark usually. The thing is that you're gonna notice with this Blastoise coming out, its CP is like 9400 plus, and so that's actually going to change based on your trainer level. So this account right here is level 47, so if you are below that level, then your Team Go Rocket leaders are actually going to be less CP than I'm fighting. You know, if you're above, then it's going to scale up. So anyway, we're actually using this Shift Tree right now again to prepare for Blastoise. Shift Tree has Dark in its typing, and this Blastoise is using Bite, which is a Dark type attack. Dark is weak against Dark. And so the other thing about Shift Tree is that it has kind of a neat charge attack right here with Leaf Tornado, and I've actually seen it happen so many times in this match. I doubt we're going to get it again. That would be like insane odds, but it does have actually a small chance to reduce the attack of your opponent, and so we did see that nerf happen both on the Squirtle and on this Blastoise right here. Didn't it happen like twice on this Blastoise? I've already forgotten at this point, but either way, that's great because their Pokemon are going to do less damage to you. So anyway, she's going to send out the Houndoom next. This would actually be a bad move if the Houndoom had Fire right here to go up against my Shift Tree. I am going to try to keep the Shift Tree's Leaf Tornado, see if we can debuff, and yes, again, the attack is going to harshly fall. That's insane. And so I did have a little shiny Shinx in here. It was feeling kind of bad, so, you know, I don't want to hurt its feelings that it didn't get to battle at all, so I'm going to throw it in there. You know, this is obviously just me fooling around. It's also just showing you, like, hey, you guys can beat this, okay? This Shinx is actually doing pretty good against this Houndoom for, like, only being 492 CP like that. Anyway, we knew it was going to faint right there, and so you can use that to your advantage sometimes. So, like, let's say you make your Pokemon faint, like, they try to do as much damage as possible, right? Well, the Team Go Rocket side is going to wait, and they'll stand still. You see that Houndoom is not attacking at all, and it's for like a good 3 seconds whenever you switch a Pokemon out or when one faints. So again, you can use that to your advantage. Let's say that maybe you have the energy to use a charge attack, like right away, you've been generating that energy with your Pokemon. Don't use it if the Team Go Rocket side, if their Pokemon are in that standing still stun time, do not use your charge move. Just keep on generating energy because you can overcharge that energy, meaning, okay, we have one charge move ready to go, well, you can get another charge move ready to go stacked on top of that by generating and farming up that energy. And the same principle will happen with charge attacks. Look at the map looking all crazy again. We're going to be taking on the most flotsam of the leaders. That's going to be Arlo. He says Pokemon are our tools, and he would know a lot about being a tool, you guys. I hate Arlo, dude. He looks like he's dressed like a Hot Topic firefighter from the year like 2042 or something. But anyway, he'll be throwing out Charmander. That's Shadow Charmander is his first Pokemon. We want to address that, but he's also, I went in and fought in advance and then deliberately ran away from the battle. It was so that I could see what moves and which Pokemon he was going to use. Again, I kind of tested that beforehand so I could tell you guys about this video. So I know that he's going to send in a Charizard next, and so Charizard's actually going to take, essentially, it's like a double super effectiveness, you know, because Rock is going to be super effective against Fire, but Charizard also has Flying in its typing, and Flying is also going to be vulnerable to Rock, so that's, again, 256% damage instead of the typical, what is it, 160, whatever that percentage is of super effective. But so here we go. So Charmander, the thing about it is that unfortunately, you know, it is my favorite Pokemon, but it's just weak as heck, and so I am taking this really casually, but the key right here is Almastar. It's actually with the Rock typing in it. It also has Water type, and so that's going to be extremely resistant to both the Charmander and the Charizard, who are using fire moves as their fast attack. It's going to be Fire Spin from the Charizard. It was going to be Ember, I think, from Charmander right there. We just, man, my short-term memory is being crap today. But like I said, look at this, that Ancient Power. Ancient Power is not even especially strong of an attack, although one thing that's great is that you have a very small chance. I'm doing great with the buffs and the debuffs today because that did just buff our Amistar. You do have a small chance to get a huge boost to your attack and defense, and it actually did. And so, again, it only took 2 Ancient Powers from a Great League or below Amistar right here. So once again, here's the point, right, is that if you're a trainer that's below my level, below 47, you're going to be facing an easier Charizard than I was based on the CP amounts, you know, the level. But you're not limited to have your Pokemon be in the Great League. Like, boost your Amistar as much as you want. Like, put it up in the Ultra, you know, 2500 or something. Like, power it up as much as you want. I'm just basically illustrating for you guys that it is absolutely possible. Just use type advantages, use the stun time advantage, and obviously make sure that you are addressing the typings of their movesets too, you know, like sometimes dealing with like a Rhyperior or Persian against Giovanni, for example, it can go very differently depending on the fast attack that it's using. So right there you saw that I actually switched into Chandelure. I was just using that because I know there was Litwick Community Day back in October, which was somewhat recent. A lot of you guys may have a Chandelure lying around, and then I actually switched. It was just again to show you that advantage of taking that stun time, using a tier advantage basically. And I switched into the Gigalith because we also had Roggenrola, so that Community Day, a lot of you guys may have one of those laying around. So again, those are all some good options, and Scizor is going to be just like we saw with Charizard, but this time we're going to go Fire, so it's like extremely vulnerable to Fire because both Steel and Bug are weak to Fire. So again, you got that 256% super effective. It is great. So we're going up against Cliff, the last Team Go Rocket leader for this video. I will do a separate one on Giovanni for anybody that still needs to get Latios here before he switches to Shadow Mewtwo, which is going to be insane, ladies and gents. But yes, the key right here is the Alolan Ninetales. Once again, seeing what his second Pokemon is going to be, that's a good way to address the fight. If you can be super effective against his first Pokemon and his second one, then you could have just like 2 options for the third, or whatever you're struggling with, you can have another like extra option. We don't even need to use that Articuno that I had right here. I just kind of put it there. Like, you could literally use like any ice type or, you know, anything that's going to be super effective basically against that Bulbasaur or whatever you're struggling with, okay? So just consider that the extra, right? So this Ninetales, it's the Alolan version specifically because of this. So Crobat's going to come in here, and so with Crobat using Bite, it's actually going to have Bite as its fast attack. That's a dark type move, just like we discussed with Blastoise. Well, Alolan Ninetales is part Fairy, and so that Fairy typing is actually going to resist the dark of Bite, and so right here, we can still deal super effective damage because we're Alolan Ninetales, right? It's also got Ice, it's going to be using Ice moves, and so that's why we're getting this super effective damage in. Crobat's a little bit strong against that, but that's okay. You know, Weather Ball, maybe slightly weaker to go up against it, but that's alright. We can like spam it out. That's usually what happens, is you're kind of picking a charge attack. Again, this is just if you're struggling, okay? I really like to emphasize that because some people will be like, no, just stomp this thing, use like a 3000 CP, whatever, Articuno, you know, whatever, Raikou, all those things. But okay, so the point being though, I was gonna say, if you are struggling, use those spammy charge attack with fast attack combos. You know, we're using Powder Snow as our fast attack right here for the Alolan Ninetales. That generates a lot of energy per hit, and so with that, it also doesn't take all that much energy to get Weather Ball right here, the Ice Weather Ball. So in conjunction with each other, in combination with each other, I should say, they are very good. And so here we go. We can actually get one more off. I'm gonna switch after this. So Ninetales gonna use Weather Ball right here. Should we let it die? No. Okay, we won't make it faint. We'll go ahead and we'll throw in our last Pokemon right here, Poliwrath. Poliwrath is incredible just in like all Team Go Rocket in general. If you can give Poliwrath both Power Up Punch and Ice Punch, it does extremely well. Like, it's done, I've done a lot of videos where it solos the entire Team Go Rocket leader lineups, or Giovanni, like it does most or all of the damage on Giovanni. It is incredible, you guys. Now, it's not going to be so much for the Shadow Mewtwo coming up, so don't try to use it against the Shadow Mewtwo maybe. But for example, this Tyranitar, it's using a Steel type attack, that's Iron Tail, and of course Poliwrath has water in its typing along with the fighting, and so with that, we are actually going to resist. And Tyranitar, once again, is going to take extra damage from fighting type attacks, so even Power Up Punch, which is incredibly weak as far as damage goes, it's awesome for the guaranteed buff to your attack that it's going to give, but again, it's more of a weak in damage output, let's say. It's still, it'll make mincemeat of a Tyranitar because Rock and Dark are both weak to fighting. So look at that, you guys. Anyone still having trouble? Now you got a few more options right here. I do have other videos though. Go ahead, click the end screen that's on screen here, or just use the description and top pinned comment to get all of the other episodes for the leaders. And remember, once again, they'll be changing their lineups very soon, so I'll catch you when they do. I'll be here to help you beat them then. And thanks for viewing.